Alright, we'll be doing multiplying real numbers today. Section 2.4. Sign of a product. If you multiply two numbers together, if they have the same sign, their product will be positive. And if you multiply two numbers together with different signs, their answer will be negative. So let's go ahead and try some examples. Negative 3 times 6. We know that there's going to be a negative answer because they have different signs, and we can think, okay, 3 times 6 is 18, so our answer is negative 18. Letter B, you can do two at a time if that's easier, or you can do the two negatives together if that's easier. I would rather just go in order, so I'm going to say, okay, 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. Negative 10 times negative 4, positive 40. Same thing here. Negative 1/2 times negative 4, positive 2, times negative 3, is negative 6. Negative 2 times negative 7 is 14. D, 4/3 times negative 3 times 7. 4/3 times negative 3 is negative 4. And negative 4 times 7 is negative 28. Okay, properties of multiplication. I know we already went over all these properties when we dealt with addition, but now we're going to do them for multiplication. The commutative property is when you have two numbers, you multiply them either way, and get the same answer. So 4 times negative 5 is the same thing as negative 5 times 4. The associative property, when we are dealing with multiplication and we have parentheses, so they're in the same order but the parentheses are moved. If you did AB and then multiply it by C, it's going to be the same thing as A times BC. So negative 2 times 7 times 4 is the same thing as negative 2 times 7 times 4. Identity property. If we take any number and multiply it by 1, it's the same thing the other way. That's a commutative property. And that also gives you the same back. So negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. Property is 0. Multiply any number by 0. And that's 0. So negative 3 times 0 is 0. Lastly, the property of negative 1. Any number times negative 1 is negative, whatever you started with, or opposite if you start with a negative number. So negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2. Okay, now we're going to state which property is illustrated in each of our statements. First one, x times 7 times 0.5 is the same as x times 7 times 0.5. That was when our parentheses are moved around. That is the associative property. Eight times 0 is 0. Property of 0. Negative 6 times y is the same thing as y times negative 6. That's the commutative property. Nine times negative 1 equals negative 9. That is the negative 1 property. And 1 times v is v is the identity property. Find the product of negative 4 times x times 0.5 and justify your steps. Okay, so we can use any of the properties that we just learned about to find this product. Now the easiest thing that I can see to do is to somehow get that negative 4 next to the 0.25, because we know that 0.25 is the same thing as 1/4, and negative 4 and 1/4 are going to cancel each other out. So we can use the commutative property and move around the negative 4x to the other side of the 0.25, and then use the associative property to move our parentheses. Then 0.25 times negative 4 is negative 1 times x, which is negative x. Okay, in 1900, the elevation of Mata Lake in California was 6,416 feet. From 1900 to 1950, the average rate of change of elevation was about negative 12 hundredths foot per year. From 1950 to 2000, the average rate of change was about negative 526 thousandths foot per year. Approximate the elevation in 2000. So there's two different time periods here that we're concerned with. Okay, so we have 6,416 feet, and we're changing at a rate of 12 hundredths, and there's 50 years that we're changing, so we can find out what our final answer is. Negative 12 hundredths times 50 is negative 6, and 6,416 plus negative 6 is 6,410 feet. And then we also need to do the elevation change, 1950 to 2000, starting at 6,410, and we're changing at a rate of 526 thousandths, and that's another 50 years. 526 thousandths times 50 is negative 26.3. Which is 6,383 and 7/10 feet in 2000. And that was multiplying.